I love how Dooku is just playing at politics per his norm. Very brute force, but still. I own you. Well, okay, I guess I'll do what you say, Dooku. There's this interesting bit, which actually doesn't really make sense when you sit and think about it. There's this bit where Dooku effectively threatens to not repay their loans if they don't raise the loans on the Republic. That's his big threat. Do I even need to start with that? We just talked about why you're not supposed to have a military presence on this sort of thing. In fact, what this is basically a form of renationalization. Not actual nationalization, which is different, which actually happens later on. Uh, I thought about doing this whole speech about why not paying back the loans on military debts to an intergalactic banking thing just doesn't quite make sense, but let's just move on. So, I love this bit where even Anakin knows that something's going on here. And, oh my god, when Anakin notices something's up, you know we have a problem, right? So then Thorn dies. For the Republic! Notice that the clones are just kind of dying off one by one as we have Season 6 here. It's almost like they knew and they're like, okay, we need to start killing off characters quickly. I love how Palpatine once again immediately hands personal responsibility for the invasion over to Anakin. Did you notice that? And of course, Dooku arranges the situation perfectly. There's Padme, and there's Clovis, and he basically talks as if, you know, Clovis is the one who made all of this happen. Now, maybe he did, but based on some of the private conversations between Dooku and Clovis, I don't buy it. If anything, it feels like Clovis was willing to work in this direction because he felt it would work out, but then also wasn't the initiator of the organization, which is what Dooku is implying. And then, of course, Dooku basically forces Padme to shoot the nearby Separatist Senate member because I am the Senate joke, and yeah. And as usual, by the way, Yoda isn't helpful at all in this entire situation. But what's interesting to me is it's funny how obvious this manipulation is. Okay, we're going to send in forces, and we're going to do a false flag operation to force the other side to send in forces so we can nationalize the banks. Because that's the end goal here, nationalizing the banks. Which is kind of a messed up thought in multiple ways, especially when you really think about this. But having the actual intergalactic banking organization under the purview of a single power, that's a recipe for trouble. It's probably how the Death Star got funded. Anyways, but getting more to the point, that is always the goal. And it looks exactly like the Separatists are doing exactly that, trying to nationalize the bank. It's just, well, if you sit back and have a brain about anything, this would be the moment where you'd be like, well, hang on. Clovis invites the Separatists, and then the Separatists show up with a token force, by the way, given the power that they're taking. Take the area, and then the moment the Republic shows up, they just leave. Like, they put up a fight, and then they withdraw, and then they never come back. What? This is actually kind of ridiculous, and I'm amazed no one else thinks about this, but, well, it's not like the Senate's known for its intelligence, is it? I love this part here, by the way. Clovis at multiple points is like, no, it's okay, I've got this. I can make this work. Somehow, I just need to think. And then Anakin shows up, and he holds Padme at gunpoint while shouting, I'm not the villain here. What? Like, I get Clovis kind of losing it and being scared of Anakin. I totally do. But taking Padme at gunpoint? What the hell? Considering the very next thing he does, which is deliberately kills himself in order to save Padme. What? Also, am I the only one who was wondering why Anakin wasn't just force-lifting them up? It's not like we don't know they can do that. Both Anakin and Ahsoka have done that in this show before. But I digress. And then Clovis dies. I cared more about Thorne's death. Then they go, and there's this wonderful, wonderful line. Long live the banks! And all the people start chanting it, and the camera kind of goes over to Padme. I've said before that I usually think of her as an intelligent individual, and this show made me question that. This is kind of part of that, because I get the impression that this is the moment where Padme starts to realize that things are going bad on her side. Anakin's already started to be distanced from the Council, and now Padme is being distanced from the Senate. At this point, she's probably like, okay, this is worse than I thought. And it took her this long to figure this out. But again, at the same time, Palpatine has stopped moving in small motions. You notice that? Like, as of Season 5, and especially as of Season 6, he is now making broad, sweeping strides in order to take immediate and personal power. So, yeah. I guess we'll see how this turns out with a completely different story arc next time.